Hi, I'm Daryl Urbanski, and welcome to the Best Business Podcast. My mission is to help create 200 new multi-millionaire business owners. How? You'll do better when you know better. In my interviews, you'll hear from self-made millionaires, seven-figure business owners, authors, and world-class experts sharing how they did it so you can too without experiencing the same obstacles they did. Now, if you like this interview, please share it with a friend you think will benefit. They'll appreciate it, and I will as well. You can also connect with me on social media. Look for Daryl Urbanski, D-A-R-Y-L, Urban Ski, U-R-B-A-N-S-K-I, and add me so we can be friends. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy what I've prepared for you right here, right now. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Once again, I am Daryl Urbanski, and today we have a very special guest. We're joined by Dov Gordon, who is well known for helping small businesses and entrepreneurs build consistent, predictable flows of new customers and clients by building simple marketing and selling systems. He's also the go-to for a lot of gurus, including myself. He is a phenomenal judge of character, a wonderful family man, and someone who very much takes coaching and helping others succeed seriously. I can tell you that from personal experience and also just from having seen the caliber of people he surrounds himself with, which is really important to me because, as you've heard on a lot of these calls, I'm a big advocate of Jim Rohn, and one of his quotes is, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," and Dov is someone that I'm very honored to be able to spend my time with. So Dov, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Speechless. Thank you. That was a very sincere and appreciated introduction. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, we're both more into like real relationships and real depth, and get away from the superficial and just work with what's real. So it's very true. You are an inspiration in a lot of ways to me. So I have no problem saying that.
Thank you.
All right, so Dov, I wanted to bring you on the show today just to kind of talk a little bit about your experiences and how you've grown and evolved in your career and lessons you've learned. And that's actually something I'm really curious to hear because I don't even know, how did you get started in all of this?
Well, I've been interested in business since probably 13 or so when I discovered the self-help section in the library. That's what I remember. I think the first book I read was $1 Million Habits by Robert Ringer. So don't remember much of what I read, but I do remember that was, I don't remember what the habits were, but I remember the book. I remember that it impacted me. I remember it was, good. And that got me started as I think, I don't remember what was next, but I did read his Winning Through Intimidation and Looking Out for Number One over the next years, as well as, I don't know how many books since then, but I started studying all sorts of business, all aspects of business, marketing, advertising, sales, public relations, just general self-development, the 7 habits of highly effective people and, Think and Grow Rich and so many others. So that's what got me started. I always kind of assumed that I always wanted business. I went into a network marketing thing in my late teens, which was a good place for me to learn about the power of systems. And of course, looking back, it was also a good way for me to learn about what doesn't work. One of the many opportunities to learn what doesn't work, because if anyone is thinking about that, it's really not a business. But I didn't know at the time, and that's what I had. It was the only thing available. I didn't have any product or service. I didn't, so it was an opportunity. So I took it, and I learned from it. I definitely learned from it. And over time, I got married at I got married at 21, and I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? And I'd heard about coaching at some point. Didn't really know what it was. Did a little research on it, found out that there was this thing called business coaching, and it really seemed to be the kind of thing I'd be good at. So took a course and got, and I'd say hung up a shingle, but I printed a business card. Yeah. And now then the next challenge was, okay, how do I get some clients? Because even when you didn't have to finish a training to start getting clients, you can try to get clients from the day one, which is, I think, a good idea. So that's how I got started, and that was about probably 13 years ago, and it's been quite a journey and an evolution since, as I had to figure out this thing of building a consistent flow of clients, because it's not an easy thing at all. And I don't think it's, except excepting perhaps the person who is naturally charismatic, a natural salesperson, I think most of the rest of us find it to be a real challenge to be able to talk about what we do in a way that draws our ideal clients towards us. And that was definitely my big challenge getting started.
Wow. So that was your biggest challenge. And then, I mean, want to make sure I wasn't still on mute. So, and then what were some of the aha moments that you had and that, because it is for a lot of people getting that. I mean, I often say that what a lot of people do when they want to go into a business is they find something that they're passionate about and they decide to do it and they sell all their friends and family into it and their friends and family make the obligatory, token purchase. But then that's when they hit a wall. Is they get so busy first just trying to fulfill on whatever they've sold, but then they hit this wall of where do I find and meet and get new people from? And that's when the real business skills have to come out. And so for you, I mean, what were some of the big milestones that you had in overcoming those challenges and even helping your clients? Because you've had a lot of success since then.
Well, it's been a series of stages. I think looking back, there was never like, one day you wake up in the morning and suddenly the sun is shining down and you've had this brilliant awakening.
Damn it.
Yeah, I haven't had that. So at least I can't talk from that experience because I don't know it. But
Right.
the first thing that I remember doing was signing up for. I was in the Jerusalem area at the time, and there was a guy who had shown up, and he was starting to run. He took over the Dale Carnegie franchise, and he was running a Dale Carnegie course in English. And I figured that where else am I going to find English-speaking business people? So I signed up for the course, not so much to take the course as to hopefully meet some English-speaking business people. And it was the first time he was running it, so it was at the nice King David Hotel right in the center of Jerusalem, kind of famous and infamous, and it was really nice. And we had I think it was 12 or 14 weeks where we came together for I think 4 hours at a time. And everybody had a chance to give a little talk, so we really got to know each other. And I came away from that class. There were 44 people in the class, as I recall, and I remember that I got 12% of them were my first clients or some of my first clients.
Really?
So that was it just putting one foot in front of the other. I didn't have any kind of grand strategy. I really just looked around and said, okay, what could my next step be? And that was the next step. And it gave us the opportunity to get started. I was really still had no idea what I was doing. I had a skill and talent, and I was good, but it wasn't yet structured. It wasn't refined. It was raw.
So it was raw. And so, what was like? So how did you? Is it just a process of evolutions, and every time you kind of go around the sun, you get a little bit better at it? Were there any key lessons that you discovered from it?
Well, over time, I just kept discovering, learning more and more. I've always reached out and tried to find some really good mentors. I always like to learn from the best people, and I always read a lot of books, which helped me find people and so on. And the internet was starting to become really, I guess, universal. Early
Right.
2000s. We're looking at what is this? 2001, 2002. So that opened up all sorts of worlds that didn't really exist before that.
Got
Um,
it.
but I reached out to a mentor, and I enrolled. Many people know Alan Weiss. He was an early mentor of mine, but that's already probably 2004, 5, 6, and beyond. I learned a lot from him. He's probably one of the smartest people that I know, and I learned from him and through him. I learned structured and critical thinking, which is probably one of the greatest skills that I have, and it applies to anything. Being able to frame things, being able to hear about a situation and instantly spot the things that most people are missing. Why? Because you've learned how to see things. You can learn how to see the invisible. That's what makes you a really good consultant, is because when you could see a
Yes.
situation, and most people see just what's going on the surface, they see the superficial,
Yep.
but if you can kind of see through it to what's lying beneath it and what's really affecting everything, it's like walking down the street and seeing $100 bills where everyone else just sees leaves,
Right. Right. Right.
except
Right.
that and they really are $100 bills.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're just go on. I mean, you're not crazy. That's what I mean.
No, no, no. But you're totally right. It's when you know better, you do better, and a lot of
Hmm.
people just don't know, and that's a huge,
They don't.
huge, huge.
Yeah, when you can see things that other people can't see, you can make decisions and that with information they don't have, and then do things they wouldn't do.
Yep.
So that was a big part of my development of kind of taking. I remember when Alan said to me at some point, he said, "Dov," he says, you have a lot of talent, but you have to kind of channel it. You still need skills and processes, and that really spoke to me at the time. It was a light bulb moment, and I realized, okay, I got to take all this and turn it into processes and skills. Now, one of the first processes that I figured out had to do with strategy, just the ways of thinking about it, and at the time.
What do you mean?
Sorry.
What do you mean? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes. So just it was because I've been studying strategy. I was working towards trying to get some corporate projects. Consulting projects. That was where I was first, as I started to figure things out slowly but surely. So first I had small business clients, and then I had this great idea of bringing together entrepreneurs to learn from each other. I did a little research and found that there were thousands of such groups in the United States, and I wasn't aware of any in Israel. So I reached out. I just kind of reached out to some people that I'd met in networking groups, and used that to start putting together an initial group. And I realized that I can make some money charging membership fees, and I can probably also develop consulting on the background or coaching, on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
So to cut a long story short, the first year or so I did that with small businesses, and then I came across a book that had the lists of the largest companies in Israel, and I realized, hey, I could reach some of the larger companies, and I changed my focus to target CEOs of companies with between $10 and $150 million in sales, which that's probably that's considered pretty large over here.
Right.
There are some companies that are larger than that, but 10 to 150 million is pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my goal was to have, like I said, membership plus get consulting from that on the back end, but it didn't quite work out that way. We can go down that path if you want. But as part of that, I was learning strategy consulting. I was learning how to think about it, how to make decisions and so on. And I sat down and I kind of boiled things down to my own way of looking at it. And I developed my own process and model, which is kind of along the lines of what Alan was telling me I need to do. And I was very proud of it. And I probably could say this. At the time, my wife kind of snickered, thinking like, why do you think that this is so much better than, what I'm sure other people who've been doing this much longer and so on. It's probably can't be, because I was very proud of it.
Right.
Well, I'm happy to say that so many years later, I still think that it's probably the best approach that I've come across. And since then, others have recognized and valued it as well. And so has she. So that's of
Right.
course.
Good. Well, if your wife's on your side, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. That's critical. It absolutely is. So I started to learn skills and form them into processes. At first, I didn't even understand what that meant, but started to realize that, a series of steps is not necessarily that simple for someone who doesn't understand it or isn't an expert in what you're an expert in. We often don't value what we know enough. That's definitely been a problem of mine over the years, and maybe still is. So that was the getting started phase and starting to ramp up.
Got it. Can we back up a little bit when you're saying systems and processes or simple step? I'm sorry, I'm not gonna articulate it as well as you just did. But when you said that, I was like, I want you to repeat that, because I think that that's an important thing for the listeners. Because I think there's people here. I know one of my mentors. I made a goal when I first really wanted to be successful. Again, I first heard this quote: "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And I was like, well, I want to meet. I want to meet 10 millionaires then. And I set out a goal, and one of the millionaires that I met, I should maybe do a session on that, but all the different millionaires I met. But the one millionaire I met, he said, Daryl, one thing you have to grasp early in your career is everyone is going to be a beta version of you, no matter what. It's just the way it is. And what you said I felt articulated that. Can you expand on that?
Everyone's going to be a beta version of you? What does that mean?
Well, because when you say, like, we're the expert, it's really easy for us. Like for you, like it's just do this, and it's
Uh,
like done. But then when you're talking about having to build your systems and processes, that
hmm
was a big breakthrough for you. And you said like the realization that for the 5 step process or 10 step process isn't as elementary for other people as it may be to us because that's our expertise, and we don't necessarily even acknowledge or recognize our gifts because it's so easy for us.
hmm
I think that might be. Can you explain on that? Like, how do you know when you've got a processy? How do you know how to break it down? How do you know? Like,
Well,
yeah,
this is something that I teach my clients now, so we can make it connected to relevance of, a lot of people. How do you people struggle to talk about what they do in a way that draws their ideal clients to them, right? And then I'm talking mostly about consultants, coaches, experts, professional service firms of different types, and a lot of them are doing a lot of the same types of things. So strategy consultant, leadership development, business coaching, right? It all sounds, or a lot of it sounds the same.
okay,
So how do you go about talking about what you do in a way that sounds fresh and different? You know,
right,
so um, I mean, if you think about it, there's this video on YouTube that I keep hearing about from lots of people. Simon Sinek talk, the power of why or something like that.
okay,
And I've watched it a couple of years ago, and I remember thinking like, the fascinating thing for me is why has this become such a hit? Because he doesn't say anything that hasn't been said before. He doesn't say anything, brilliant or profound. But what it is that he's taken simple ideas and he's connected them to kind of aspirations that people have, and he's presented it very well, and deservedly has gotten a lot of attention for it. So trying, also that I'm just using as an example
right,
to try to, you can take, if you're talking about the same thing that everybody else is talking about in the same way that everybody else is talking about, and I will say that we don't really have much choice but to talk about the same things that everybody's talking about, because there is nothing new under the sun. I mean, we're all trying to move from A to B, wherever the A is and wherever the B is. There are lots of other people trying to do the same thing,
right,
right? And if you're helping people move from A to B, there are lots of other people wanting to help people move from A to B.
right,
So
right,
you don't have, and if you come and say, oh yeah, yeah, we can help you with team building, right? You
right,
sound like, or we can help you get clients. You sound like everybody else who's saying essentially the same thing. So the first challenge is, how do you do that? And one of the answers to that is that you boil down what you do into a simple, into a what I call like your transformational secret sauce, and that's a series of steps that you walk somebody through. But let me back up a little bit, right?
right,
So the best example I can give you is my own transformational secret sauce. So the goal that I help people accomplish, right, is to help them create a steady, consistent flow of their ideal clients,
right,
right? And you know, I don't call myself a marketing consultant. If someone says, what do you do? I'm not going to say I'm a marketing consultant. Why? Because that brings up all sorts of preconceived ideas.
right, right,
Oh,
right.
you're a marketing consultant. That means this, that, and that. They don't actually say that, but they think that, and then they're not interested in talking, right?
Right, or you're now lumped into this group of 12 other people that they've already been heard about or talked to or whatever. Right,
Yeah, exactly. So the conversation is closed pretty much, unless they're looking for someone to design a brochure. No, I don't do that, right? Or, oh, you do AdWords? No, I don't do that, right? So it closes the conversation to a great degree. So, but if instead, what do you do? Well, I help people I help consultants, coaches create a consistent flow of their ideal clients. So that opens a door to some degree. There's no one sentence that is going to get people like all over you. So
of
that's
course.
important to realize. But it's an important step to just keep the conversation open, keep them interested. So that leads to questions. Now, the very first thing I'll should I walk you through the 6 steps?
Sure,
So,
yeah, if you're willing to
okay.
share with us. I mean, I'm sure everyone would love to hear it.
So these are the 6 steps that anybody could take to create a consistent flow of their ideal clients. And I don't really know what we're going to talk about or how, but this is really an example of taking your expertise and distilling it into a process so that people can visually see it and be drawn along closer towards you, wanting more and more at each step. So the first thing that we need to realize is that if you're looking to attract the attention of your ideal client, right? There's two things. There's attention and interest. And a lot of things will get somebody's attention, but only two things get interest. Okay? So a loud noise will get your attention, and then you realize, oh, there's nothing to be worried about, so you go back to what you were doing.
Right.
Interest means something gets your attention, and then you want more. So you change direction. You don't go back to what you're doing. You now head in that direction. And as entrepreneurs, what we need, like we can't afford to just buy all the necessarily to get in front of everybody all the time. So we need to draw people towards us. So when they hear our message, whether I'm tactic agnostic, whatever tactic you choose to use, if it's AdWords or SEO or public speaking or radio ad or TV or billboard, whatever it is, Facebook, whatever tactic someone chooses to use.
Yeah,
If someone the first goal is get their attention and their interest because they need to change their plans and head in our direction. Now that's the first question that anybody asks themselves when they come across your message is, should I pay attention? Is this interesting?
Right.
If they answer yes, then immediately they have a new question, and that new question is, you got my attention and interest, you got me interested, but who are you? Can I trust you? Are you for real?
Right.
And if their brain then answers yes to that, then instantly they have a third and final question, which is, okay, I see you're for real. I can trust you. You know your stuff and you care about me, not just interested in selling something to me. So, but is it right for me? What do you recommend for my situation? Is it right for me? That's their third question. Now, those are the only three questions any customer is ever asking.
Right.
Right? Now, they may have kind of versions of that or sub-questions underneath, but it's going to come underneath one of those three questions. So I'll just take a step back now. Let's point out that what I'm doing is I'm helping people realize that this whole marketing thing that they're thinking about attracting clients, I've just distilled it to three questions.
Right.
And I just pointed out that your ideal client has three questions, and your job through all your marketing is to help them answer those three questions in sequence. So again, first question is should I pay attention? Is what you're talking about interesting to me?
Right.
Second question is, okay, you got me interested, but can I trust you? Third question is, I see I can trust you, but is it right for me, for my situation? And now what we do is we will now create, this is a process of 6 steps.
Okay.
2 steps, the first 2 steps of your marketing system will help them answer yes to the first question. The second 2 steps will help them answer yes to the second question. And the third 2 steps, are we connected?
Yeah, no, we're connected.
Okay.
We're totally connected.
All right. And the third 2 steps will help them answer yes to the third question. And if they answer yes to all 3 questions, and it has to be in order, then congratulations, you've got a new client. So what are the first 2 steps? So remember, the question is should I pay attention? Is it interesting?
Right.
So the first step in the process is what I call get you a tank of marketing helium. We've got to get you a tank of marketing helium. What's marketing helium? The idea is this, is that, like I said, every tactic, we've got what I call marketing plumbers, right? If you go to Joe the plumber and say, hey, Joe, could you build me a house? What's he going to say?
Right. He's not going to, he can't build you a house, but he can plumb it.
Exactly. He'll say, Darryl, first get yourself an architect to design the house and a contractor to put up the frame, and then I'll give you the best plumbing in town. But I'm a plumber. I'm not, I don't build houses.
Right.
Right. But when it comes to marketing, we've got marketing plumbers all over the place. So the Twitter expert thinks that he or she is an architect, right? So,
right.
So you need some new clients? Well, you got to be on Twitter.
Right.
The AdWords expert thinks everyone has to be AdWords, and the
right.
LinkedIn, everybody's got to be running a LinkedIn group, or it's where everyone needs to be doing Facebook ads, or everyone needs to be blogging. Remember blogging? Blogging was the thing, right? I guess it's still
back in the day.
It's kind of, I haven't heard that as much about it. Anyway, so all these, I think of these as marketing plumbers, because while Joe the plumber understands his role, the marketing plumber often doesn't. The marketing plumber often thinks that the tactic that I think I'm good at, and it's questionable whether they are sometimes, that's what everybody needs to do.
Right.
So the idea though is that it's not about the tactic; it's what you put inside the tactic. Another quick analogy, right? If imagine you've got Bob and Sally, right? Bob is here. Bob has a blue balloon, and Sally has a red balloon. Bob leaves go of his blue balloon; it falls to the floor, bounces off to a corner and hits a tack, and it pops, right? Sally leaves go of her red balloon, and it starts to drift higher and higher, and we're all watching, and how it looks beautiful drifting up against the white clouds and the deep blue sky until we just can't see it anymore. And you think to yourself, wow, I don't want a balloon like Bob's. Right. I want a balloon like Sally's. So you go out and you buy yourself the brightest, shiniest, reddest balloon you could find, and you take a deep breath, and As you start to blow it up, you have, a big smile of anticipation. You tie a knot, you leave go, and of course your bright, shiny red balloon falls to the floor, bounces off to the corner, and it pops right next to Bob's blue balloon, and you're shattered. What did I do? I didn't get a blue balloon like Bob.
I got a red balloon. That's right.
Exactly. So why didn't I? And of course the answer is obvious. Is because I filled. Sally filled her balloon with helium. You filled yours with hot air.
Yeah.
So, it's obvious in the analogy, but when it comes to the marketing tactic, people get so enamored with the color of the balloon, with the tactic and what it can do and how shiny the object is and how exciting it is. And people get, that's the marketing plumber playing it all up and people get drawn into it. And the truth at the end of the day is that every tactic could work and every tactic can fail. It doesn't matter what color the balloon is. What matters is what you put inside. And therefore, the very first thing is that we need to make sure that you have a full tank of marketing helium. And as I talked about earlier, right? So the first question they have is, should I pay attention? Is what you're talking about interesting to me? Again, it could be something you wrote, something you spoke, right? Whatever tactic you're using.
Yep.
The good news is that there are only two things that your ideal clients are interested in. They're only interested in a problem they have and don't want, and or a result they want and don't have. So at this stage, the first piece of the marketing and selling system, we want to get really clear about who is your ideal client, and let's get into their heart and mind and talk, and let's understand what is a problem they have and don't want, what is a result they want and don't have. And we need to get that really clear. We need to get that really clear because that is what we're then going to use. That's the helium. Everything else, all the other 5 steps are built on clear understanding, clear insight, depth into the problem they have and don't want, the result they want and don't have. And the second step, the second piece is going to be, now let's craft a simple, compelling message. Let me give an example of that, by the way, right? Just to drive it home. An example I use all the time is, I once had somebody on a webinar I did, and he had some kind of software company that it said on his website, we make dashboards and reports to help you make better business decisions or something like that, or to get you better business results, right?
Okay.
So that was his main message. Like we make dashboards and reports to help you make better business decisions, right? But there's no problem there in that statement. There's no result there.
Right. It's like a feature. I totally get it.
It can mean 100 different things, right? There could be 100 different problems, right? So Joe's CEO is his ideal client, let's say. And Joe's CEO wakes up in the morning and what's on his mind? He's thinking to himself, I just spent $3 million on this new information system. How come I can't get the data I need to make this difficult pricing decision, right? Now, that's what's on Joe's mind. He's frustrated because he still can't get certain important data that he needs to make an accurate pricing decision, right? Now, Joe's CEO walks out of his front door to go to his car. Let's say this guy can put a billboard right opposite Joe's CEO's house. Mm-hmm. And now let's imagine 2 scenarios. Scenario number 1, the billboard says, we build dashboards and reports to help you make difficult business decisions or something like that, right? Joe's CEO isn't even going to notice it. Right. He's going to walk to his car. He will not even notice the billboard. But what if that same billboard says, we help you get the data you need from that multi-million-dollar ERP system so you can make difficult pricing decisions?
Right. It's going to get his attention. Yeah, it's going to jump out at him.
Instantly, he's going to be on the phone with your company before his rear end hits the seat of his car. Right? So that's what we're looking to create. If you could speak out loud, right? Because the first question that your ideal client has is, should I pay attention? Is this interesting to me? Remember, interesting means he's going to change his plans. He wasn't planning to call you, but he's calling you now on his way to his car because the answer was yes, that is interesting. That is exactly what's on my mind. So now people have a really hard time with this because we all think to ourselves, well, I can help with lots of problems. I can help with lots of results, right? Because the basic question is, what problems could you help solve? What results could you enable? And the first step in the process I tell all my clients is make a list of what problems you can help solve, what results do you enable? And we all have this. I think I lost 2 years in my business because I refused to make a decision. I wanted to do everything
for everybody. Right, yeah, but there's so many, I want to help everybody. Right, yeah.
I can help with strategy, I can help with team building, I can help with marketing. I was interested in all of that, and I'd studied all that, and I had some experience with all of that. And, I felt like I had, that was the raw talent that kind of didn't have any direction. Right? Because it wasn't focused, neither in marketing nor in actual, operations or implementation. So the first two steps are that marketing helium, which is that insight, which is the level of clarity of being able to articulate the problem they have and the result they want to have. And then the second is craft a simple, compelling message that gets your ideal client turning their head. And that's what we've done in this Joe CEO case, right?
Right.
So I'll give you one more example because it's such an important point that most people gloss right past this, and they never get it right. They never get it right. It's hard. It's simple, but it's difficult to get it right.
Right. So just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I had another client who used to be I tend to do well with people who are successful in the corporate world, executives in the corporate world who went out on their own thinking, oh, I succeeded in the corporate world, so I should also
be able to, be easy.
as a solo consultant, right? Only to discover that there's a vast difference in skill set required to succeed inside a company versus to be solo on the outside. So I tend to do well with people like that because well, let's whatever. That's just the way it is. So I can go off track. Let's stay on. Let's provide value.
Sure.
So this woman, her name was Susan. So she had led a 50-person marketing department inside a large company, and she decided that she wanted to become like a leadership consultant, dealing with leadership development, and that's what she wants to do. She'd tried it on her own for a while, and she was quite frustrated by the time that we met. So, so what do most leadership consultants talk about? Well, we do leadership development, or we do team building, or we do organizational development, whatever they say.
Okay.
So I asked her, I said, make a list of all the problems you could help solve, the results that you can enable. Mm-hmm. Make a list of that. And she did. And then we picked off one item on the list. And what she picked was, she said, was this. I don't remember the exact wording, but it was something like I can help you solve those problems, stemming from that employee who's too valuable to fire. And what she was doing was we made a list of very, as many specific problems as we could. What was happening here is that everybody has an employee who's too valuable to fire, just about. And it's a massive frustration. And when they wake up in the morning, that employee's on their mind, and they're not sure what to do about it. Now, if they come across leadership development and team building and, all that kind of stuff, it's not, it sounds like everybody else. How do you stand out as an expert, as a consultant, as a coach? How do you stand out? By being specific in this kind of way.
Specialty. Yeah, you have to be known. Well, for one thing, you have to occupy that position in the prospect's mind. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
No, you're right. And what happens, though, is that this way you get into their minds. They even notice you, like on the billboard. Otherwise, they wouldn't even notice you.
Right.
But once they notice you, now they realize, well, okay, I see you can help me with this, but presumably you can also help with that and that and that and that. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, of course. And this is why I urge people to make that list. And there are three fundamental questions that I have everybody answer. I'll tell you what they are. And some of them are like two-sided, double, so it's really three. The first is we mentioned, which is what problems do you help solve? What results do you enable? Two sides of the same coin. And when I say a result, it could be a change, an experience. It could, any kind of result, right? Anything different that they want.
Transformation, right.
Transformation, good word, right. The second question is who has those problems? Who wants those results? Who has those problems? Who wants those results? And over there, what you want to be doing is making a list of as many groups of people who have those problems, who want those results, as you could think of. Any way of grouping people together. Mm-hmm. Okay? And the final question is, what are the qualities and characteristics of your ideal client? What are the qualities and characteristics of your ideal client? So the first two questions are about attaining a deep insight into them. The third question is about what's important to you. And if you think about it as a three-circle Venn diagram, it's where they overlap. That's where you have your marketing helium. Mm-hmm. That's where you're able to craft your simple, compelling message. And if you use that as the foundation of your marketing and selling system, then when your ideal client comes across your message and they ask themselves, is that interesting? The answer is going to be yes. And now instantly they have a new question.
Yep.
And that new question is, can I trust you?
Yep.
Okay? So can I trust you now? Those are the next two parts of the market. Next two steps are to help them answer yes to can I trust you? Right? So here what we do is we put together the third piece is we're going to build on the second piece, which builds on the first piece. So the first piece we talked about a lot. Second piece is craft a simple, compelling message. That's the second step. where you take that insight, the marketing helium, the problem result, and you articulate it succinctly and clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And the third piece is now we expand upon it into what I call a hand-raising free offer. And we see these everywhere. This is opt in on my website to get this or that. The things that most people don't structure their hand-raising free offer properly. So it never gets them anywhere. Either people don't sign up for it to begin with, or even if they do, they don't really go through it because they take a quick look and it's like my sister forwarded something she got from somebody today, and she's like, "Is this, what do you think of this?" And I opened it up, and it was like 5 steps to building to getting clients or something or other. I opened it up, and it was such generic advice, like first know what you want, then
Yeah.
remember what it was.
Take a
It was
breath.
that
Drink
yeah.
some water.
It was one page with stuff that you read that and you still don't know what to do next.
Yep.
As opposed to what we're talking about here, anybody listening to this knows exactly what to do next.
Yep.
And that's what I find that's always been important. That anything I share or teach or want to do is you have to know what to do next, differently from what they've been doing before, or nobody's going to really connect with you.
Yep.
Anyway, that's a side point. So
you're really good. This is really good. And what I like is it's really well structured what your system is. And this is again, this is a perfect example. And I'm only pausing here to try and illustrate this. Is you took something that you got good at and you were able to do, and maybe it was just it just came to you second nature. It was your gift, and now you've broken it down into a system and a process that you can train and duplicate and replicate and run clients through, and you'll know exactly what level everyone's at because you've got tiers, you've got like a checklist of things that need to be accomplished. I just wanted to pause for a second and point that out, that this is, this is that. And I think because I know even myself, sometimes I have a fear around doing that because then it makes it easy for someone to maybe steal your stuff. But you just have to, I think you just have to deal with that. I don't want to necessarily redirect the conversation, but I think you just have to do that if you want to be liberated and be able to really deliver results for clients.
Yeah, and people will steal stuff, but the people who steal stuff usually don't understand it deep enough, and therefore they're not really a threat.
Right.
The kind of clients they'll attract are the kinds of people like they are, which is not what we want anyway. So, so it's it's not something we want to encourage, of course, but it's not something that we should allow to get us off track.
Yeah, of course. No. And it's about helping people. So as long as you stay true to that, you'll be all right.
Yeah. So you know what? Let me actually here. It's 5. I hope I'm not embarrassing anybody, but it's 5 strategies to grow your business and get more clients. It's kind of loading, but the first thing is get clear on your path, right? The second one is set up systems and processes. Then it's be willing to invest in yourself, and is take control of your time and your calendar. Then it's self-confidence. And then the 5th one is make you a priority, which is, I guess, the 6th one, which seems to be a bonus unless the number was a mistake at the top. Right? A bonus number 6.
They're
But
over-delivering.
you go through this. It's one page. Each one has a paragraph or two. And you that's all very nice. I've heard that so many times before. I still don't know what to do differently. Yeah. And this is one of the things that I work with all of my clients in my Plenty of Clients program is we work with them to take what they know and distill it to the same quality process that I'm walking you through right now, because that's what helps people. That's what helps make you stand out.
Right.
It's when you can distill it, and everybody can do this.
Well, and people get results because clarity helps people get results, and I think that nothing really. What you say about yourself, this is something that I'm a big proponent of, and I know that I'm under that gun as well. But don't judge a teacher by their accomplishments; judge them by their students. Because I think that that's a huge, huge sign. I come from the martial arts background. It's so prevalent that you'll see guys that are like world champions, and you do their seminar, and they can't they're inarticulate. You can't they can't. They're just really good, and they beat you up and everyone up for a couple hours, and everyone goes home. They're like, "Yeah, I got beat up by this world champ," but you're not really any better because they can't show you or articulate or break down how they do what they're doing. They just do it. And so I think that that's a really big difference, especially if you're looking for a mentor or a coach, or just you're trying to help people. Like you might know it and you might be able to do it. Anyway, I think that that's really important.
That's a really good point. I like how you said it. Judge a teacher not by what he's accomplished, but by his students. So that reminds me of a good story that I think people will like. I have a client. Well, actually, we're kind of finished, but his name is Nick Jervis. And if you search in Google Dov Gordon, that's DovGordon, and Nick Jervis, NickJervis. I have a blog post with a recording, a 12-minute audio where he and I had a conversation. It's called How Nick Jervis Sent 4 Emails and Got 4 New Clients. And the main point that he talks about there is, and it's a really good illustration of what we're talking about, because Nick Jervis is a marketing consultant for the legal world in the UK. So he's coming with a background, and that's another thing. I also tend to, in addition to the corporate type people that I work well with, is I also tend to attract people who have studied marketing and direct marketing for many years, and they can actually help others in many cases, but they're kind of getting stuck applying it for their own business. So I mean, they've studied Dan Kennedy and Jay Abraham and all the other second and third generation, in the direct marketing world, and they have a lot of knowledge, but for some reason, one reason or another, they haven't been able to make it work for themselves. Yeah. So I have a lot of that. That's probably like the second largest group classification of the people that I really help. So he was an example of that, because he is a marketing consultant. And he's very good at what he did, and he got good results for his clients. It's no bad thing for a consultant to need help or a coach to need help. I mean, I'm in a coaching program too. Yeah. Expensive one too. Very, very. So anyway, so he sent out 4 emails and helped him, and it, 1 week after another, and each time it led to a new client. Why? He had a list. His email list was the same list as when we started. He was sending out emails before. What was the difference? The difference was that I helped him get the marketing helium clear, and then write emails that were an extension of the marketing helium, that were rooted in a deep insight into the problem they have and the result they want and don't have. And he talks about this in that podcast or recording. It's 12 minutes on the site. So again, it's like, how Nick Jervis sent 4 emails and got 4 new clients, something like that. Again, if anyone wants to hear it, Dov Gordon, Dovgordon, and Nick Jervis, I'm sure that's what will come up. So if not, they can email me for the link. Sure. So where were we? So that's an example, though, of when you have a deeper insight, then you can craft your simple, compelling message. And then when people come across it, the same people who were getting your emails before, but this time when their brain asks, is this interesting? The answer is going to be yes instead of no, because you were much more focused in your message.
Right. And it's you're going to turn other people off, but that's because you're more magnetic or you're more resonant with the types of people you want to attract. So we had answer these 3 questions, which is, and some of them are double-sided. What problems do you solve? What results do you enable? That was question 1. Make a list. 2, who has these problems? Who wants those results? List those groups. 3 was, what are the qualities and characteristics of your ideal client? And that's kind of a lifestyle thing, and choosing who you want to deal with and who you feel can get the best results for. And that's step 1, is to answer those. And then step 2 is to craft a simple, compelling message around those, articulating those, that'll slap your prospect in the face. And the 3rd step was to structure your free hand-raising offer that will resonate with those people and bring them into your database.
Right. So the 3rd step is where where you start to help them answer yes to their second question of, can I trust you? Right. So and now inside the hand raising free offer, remember I started talking about how most people don't do it well, right? So there are 3 goals that your hand raising free offer has to accomplish. Number 1, it has to get their attention and interest to begin with, right? So that, again, if it's titled, if the name and the promotion for it is rooted in the problem result, then it will work. When your ideal client comes across it, they will be interested in it and they'll request it. The second goal that it has to accomplish is it has to actually help them answer, as they go through it, whether it's something they're reading or listening to or watching, it has to help them conclude, yes, this person knows their stuff and they seem actually like they care. So yes, I can trust you. And the third thing it has to accomplish is it has to help them, it has to make it clear to them that, okay, to fully solve my problem, to fully get the result that I want, I should reach out to you and find out what you may have for pay, right? So the hand-raising free offer helps them begin to solve their problem, begin to get their result. But they also have to come to understand that to fully solve the problem, to fully get the result, I need to find out what I can do with you for pay. Otherwise, there's no business there. Otherwise, it's just, so that's why most of them fail, because it has to be designed and structured in a way that accomplishes those things. So that's the 3rd piece in this process. The 4th piece is now get noticed. Get that hand-raising free offer noticed. That's also where That finally, we're talking about tactics. And this is why so many people who follow the various marketing plumbers are frustrated and stuck, because the marketing plumbers start with step 4. They start with the tactic. They start with the shiny object. But people never attain the deep insight of problem/result. They never craft a simple, compelling message. They never put together a hand-raising free offer that once people request it and go through it is going to lead them to reach out to you for more. And therefore, all they have is hot air. So at step 4, they're getting noticed, and they do not understand the distinction between getting attention and interest. Right? Lots of things will get attention. You know, that dog and cat eating, or the 2 dogs eating with a fork and a knife video. It'll get someone's attention, but then they go back to what they were doing because it doesn't change their path.
Right.
And that's what we need to do. Is that what do you want to get noticed? It's not just about. You ever been in a LinkedIn group? LinkedIn groups are like people with just spewing hot air.
Right.
You know, it's like
right.
Somebody must be teaching a course on how to, get clients from going to a LinkedIn group. Go into LinkedIn groups and ask questions. So you have all these people going to LinkedIn groups and asking questions that never needed to be asked. And there must be someone else teaching a course that to get clients go into a LinkedIn group and answer questions. And so you have these people answering questions that never needed to be asked. And the poor folks can't really tell each other. They all think that they're getting somewhere because they're just busy. Right. But the only people paying no attention to either of them is the clients that they both want, because the clients will poke their head in the group and say, anything interesting here? And no, just a lot of hot air. I'm moving on, right? Right. So it's really unfortunate. Now, because the tactic could work, but not the way almost everybody's doing it. So that's the 4th piece. And again, if you get your hand-raising free offer noticed, right, then your ideal client will go through it like we talked about, and their answer, yes, I see, I could trust you. Now immediately they have a 3rd question. And that 3rd question is, okay, but is it right for me? Is it right for me? Right. What do you recommend for my situation? Because we all want to know that whatever it is we're doing is right for us. Okay? So, and then there are 2 more steps or 2 more pieces of the marketing system we put into place to help them answer, yes, it's right for me. And the 5th piece is the elegant sales conversation, as I call it. It's the elegant sales conversation. And all that really means is, and this was one of the breakthroughs that I had to learn over time and kind of put it together in my own way, is because I'm not a charismatic, pushy kind of guy. I'm actually shy by nature. But to be able to lead a conversation without feeling pushy and so on, but lead people from where they are to where they really want to work with you. And can I just help people can get a free training on that? Can I mention where?
Yeah, of course, by all means. Yeah, you've got
good
stuff. So
if you go to Dov Gordon, that's D as in David, O V as in Victor, GORDON.net/sell more, SELLMORE, and you can get a free training on that. Now, it's session 1 of a 7-part program, but session 1 is I've had people tell me that they got more out of that than somebody told me this. They got more out of that than a sales consultant they paid $10,000 to. And I really thought of maybe I'm putting out too much there, but whatever, it's still there for now.
No,
and
it helps people, and the do-it-yourselfers are going to do it themselves anyways, and the people who need help will elevate and raise their hand and come to you.
I agree, and that's probably why it's still there, because it hasn't been a priority. But so far, it really does. People have made serious changes just based on that. I don't want people to think this is an empty.
No, that's fine. And where do we go to get it? It's dovgordon.com/
.net DOVGORDON.net/sellmore SELLMORE. Okay, so that's the 5th part of the marketing and selling system. There's a whole process there as well, which I walk people through in that first session 1. And then the 6th thing is your irresistible paid offer, whereas you have to structure and package whatever it is you're going to offer in a way that makes it easier for them to say yes than to say no. Because this idea of an irresistible paid offer, it's become almost trite, right? Yeah, we know that. But so that people don't stop and think about it. So it should be easier for them to say yes than to say no. An offer that's easier for them to say yes than to say no. How do you structure that? And that's the 6th piece. And if you have the 5th piece and the 6th piece, an elegant sales conversation where they feel, wow, you really understand me and my situation. What do you recommend? That's the 6th piece. Well, I recommend this wonderful offer. Wow, okay, I can see how the path of least resistance is for me to say yes to that. I'm in. Congratulations, you have a new client. So that's an example of a process.
Right.
And because underneath all that is a whole bunch of different skills and insights and so on and so forth. But when you take your expertise and you package it up in a process, then it becomes much easier. And obviously, if it's a process where people really can be drawn into it, where every step is describing a mini outcome that they really want, then you're going to stand out. You're not going to be like everybody else. People, and then therefore, again, it helps them effortlessly move along from, should I pay attention? Is this interesting? To, okay, you got me interested. Can I trust you? I can trust you. Great. What do you recommend for me? Is it right for me? Okay, yes, I'm in.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
so we kind of got to this through a back door, talking about the importance of taking your talents and skills and packaging it up in a process. And well, that was just an example of that.
Yeah,
But
no,
I
that's awesome. That was really good. And actually, there's a tool I'm trying to look for it now. I believe it's called Sweet Process. Yeah, Sweet Process. And that's just there's no affiliate link or anything, but if you look up Sweet Process, it's a tool that I've actually just rediscovered. I saw it a while ago, and it was when it first came out, and it was kind of, but I have a friend, he runs an agency that's doing 6 figures a month, and he swears by this, and it just helps him systematize or systemize, however you want to pronounce that. But his processes, at least in house, for how the staff do things. So just as an extra tool for people who are listening, if they're looking for something to try and help them get organized and figure out how do I structure this and lay this out in a way that makes sense to my staff or even my clients. So yeah,
okay.
that's excellent. So Dov, that's awesome. Like, you've given some great content for people who are just getting started out with this or are struggling. They can go to dovgordon.net/sell more.
Hmm.
And I fully endorse you to do that. Again, I would never have anyone on any of my calls that I don't trust to take good care of my audience. So I'm shameless in plugging, promoting that. I know you'll take good care of people, and people that just want free stuff will get their boots filled, and people who want more, I know you'll take good care of them. Do you have any favorite quotes or books or anything that you can also recommend for people that has just helped you and use you to keep you moving forward and have just been really good guiding posts for you in your career? In your business education?
I find that there's when thought about that, the first quote that popped into my mind is a quote from Abraham Lincoln, where he said that the worst thing you can do for those you love is that which they could and should do for themselves.
Oh, I love
And
that.
and a lot of us in the coaching, consulting, expert space try to take on. One of the things that gets us stuck is we try to take on too much for the client, because we care, we really want them to succeed, and we end up taking up too much. And what happens is, if we carry what's theirs to carry, we're not doing them a favor, and it never ends up good for anybody, either of us. Again, the worst thing you can do for those you love is that which they could and should do for themselves, from Abraham Lincoln. And another Lincoln quote that I just noticed right before our call. I have a letter here on an email that a client said to me just out of the blue. We finished working a while ago, and he sent this a few months ago, saying, just letting me know that it says mission accomplished, part 1. And when we started working, he set a goal to buy a home up in the mountains, and the second goal was that his wife should be able to quit her very good job. And he said that they bought that home in the mountains, and he expects his wife to be able to quit the job by the end of this month, December.
That's awesome.
Which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended off by saying another quote of Lincoln. He says, "I will prepare, and someday my chance will come."
Right.
I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. And I think that it's just so important to remember that, because it all boils down to looking, where are we now? What can I do this moment, not worrying about tomorrow? And I still get stuck on that. I haven't completely shaken that off. It's something I work on all the time.
Yep.
But we're all in a situation where we could become overwhelmed easily.
Yep.
And we got to focus on just what's that next step. What's that next step? I will prepare, and my
And someday my
chance will come. Yeah.
Yeah.
As for books, a book that I read recently that I've really enjoyed. I think it should be required reading in every high school, and I know lots of people are recommending this book, but still, I'll just add to it, because if every high school kid should read it, and that is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Excellent book. Have you read it?
No, but
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It should be required reading in high school, I think. And a non-business book, I really enjoyed Edmund Morris's trilogy, his biography of Theodore Roosevelt. You know,
Okay.
the rise of Theodore Roosevelt.
Yep.
Theodore Rex and Colonel Roosevelt. I just find him to be a fascinating person, and Edmund Morris is a wonderful writer. Pleasure to read. And if anyone, I enjoy presidential biographies because it gives me insight into some great people and also gives me a history lesson at the same time.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, you can learn so much through other people's. That's again, I'm going back to Jim Rohn, but he's, you should fill your head reading the thoughts and the life stories of the world's great leaders and minds. Because you could sit there all night and not learn this stuff yourself. You could sit there all
Mm-hmm.
night and not think of that stuff on your own. And there's so much to be learned. I mean, everyone has an example, or everyone has everyone has a purpose in life, even if it's to be a bad example. And so you can learn a lot from reading someone's biography and learning the good
Mm-hmm.
things they did, the bad things they did, and just have that be a guiding post for yourself. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful suggestion. Yeah, I love those quotes. I love both those quotes. They're just really good, and I think you're right. And especially the "I will prepare and someday my chance will come," because there's so much emphasis. And something that I say is, the principles never change, the strategies
Mm-hmm.
sometimes change, and the tactics frequently change. And that's kind of goes
Mm-hmm.
to when you're talking about the Twitter marketer, the Facebook marketer, all that stuff. Those are just
Yeah.
tactics. But
Right.
if you just prepare and you just really get things in line and just buttoned up and just become a well-oiled machine doing what you do and helping people. And even like when you talk about just the process you went through. I mean, this is a copywriting process. This is just a process of just getting crystal clear on helping a particular type of person solve a particular type of problem or get a specific result. That is so huge, that in of itself, because if you're for everybody, you're for nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I
But
love it because it's so
I,
anti. It's so
I,
anti, like, get rich overnight. Sorry. I
Mhm.
just went to
I was just
say.
gonna say if you're for everybody, you're for nobody. But the real insight that people need to get from this, because it is so hard to resist this and to think right, is to recognize that it's not just a saying, but it psychologically cannot work. So if you're not speaking about a specific problem and a specific result, then your ideal client will not even notice you.
Yeah,
Just like the story, the example of Joe's CEO, he will not notice you, and therefore you're working hard at something that will not work. So it's not like it's a choice or it just will not work.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, exactly. Because if you have a headache and you go to the to the pharmacy to get something, and you're walking down the aisle and you see this big jug of medicine that's on for 99 cents, and it's just this big jug of blue stuff that says medicine cures everything, and next
Right.
to it is a bottle of headache medicine, relieve your headache in 30
Mhm.
minutes or less, and it's
Right.
$2.99. Even though the giant jug that may last you years is 99 cents, you're going to get the headache medicine because it's going to solve the problem, the exact problem you're having. It's so specific.
Hmm.
It gives you a sense of safety and security, and it's worth the extra $2 versus the 99, like $2.99 versus 99 cents.
Hmm.
It's worth that just to know that people will pay more just for like a guarantee or the feeling of a guarantee that what they want is going to be accomplished
Hmm.
versus like I don't know, it's supposed to solve everything. And like vinegar does everything in your house. I mean, you can use vinegar to like soften your laundry and clean your dishes. Like you can use it for everything, but nobody uses
Hmm.
it because it's not like it's just vinegar, right? Like we have all these
Right.
packaged specific cleaning products for your dishes. I remember when I was in Africa, I asked for shampoo, and they're like, what do you mean shampoo? I'm like, oh, like hair soap. They're like, you mean soap? And I was like, no, like hair soap. And they were like, you mean, because they just use bar soap for like everything. They
Right.
use bar soap to
Hmm.
wash their clothes because that's just the stage that they're at. But we're so, anyways, I love this call because it's really good. People who are listening to this should really go back and listen to it again because it's just very no nonsense how to build like a good, solid business. Like it's very practical. It's about helping a specific type of person solve a specific type of problem or attain a specific result, and then how to structure that and build that. And now like I very much, very, very, very much from a deeper level, because I've known you for a while, but from a deeper level, understand how you are able to achieve the success and create a predictable and steady flow of new clients, because it's just basic, fundamental it's just quality like marketing and business that's based on just a solid foundation of stuff that will work, and it isn't fast, but when you get like it's worth the effort, because when you get that dialed in and just following the process that you've laid out and you've created for yourself and your clients, that you will have a really good quality system in place, and that is such a huge asset for a business. Such a huge asset for a business, because I'm of the philosophy that nothing really matters until the sale is made. Your customer
Hmm.
service reps don't matter, the product doesn't necessarily matter, because there's no one, it's like the whole, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to see it, it doesn't make a sound. Well,
Hmm.
if nobody buys your product, does your product even exist, right?
Hmm.
I'm just, yeah, so it's just such a good thing. If you really, guys, if you're listening to this, you really should go to dovgordon.net/sell more, and re-listen to this call and take the time to go through. I mean, we're dropping gems. It's all there. I mean, I know Dov charges thousands of dollars for this info. Just follow the steps, answer those questions. Even if you already have a business and you think you have it dialed in, I guarantee there's an 80/20 that you could refine and optimize your business for. This is just time well invested. It is very, very good quality stuff. Um, Dov, thank you for sharing today. What are you working on right now? What do you got? What are you excited about?
Well, I'm actually, I don't know when this people are going to hear this, but as of November 19th, 2014, I'm planning to start giving away a what I call my manual of how to systematically and consistently attract first-rate clients. I'm not sure how long I'll give it out for, but
Because you
I
sell
used
that,
for
right?
5 years. I've been selling it for 5 years for $97. I've just built a lot more over the last 5 years, and I decided that this is a really good way for people to be introduced to me by giving that away at least for a period of time. Um, and that will be at dovgordon.net/manual free, right? So dovgordon.net/manual free. And if anyone's looking for these types of things, just dovgordon.net, there's always going to be something there.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned we do sell information products, but most of what we do, at least at this stage, is actually coaching people to implement it, because there's really like that's one of the biggest things. I talk to people all the time. They spend thousands of dollars on information products and high price seminars or low price seminars, and what they struggle with is to implement it.
Yep.
And that's where coaching comes in. People need anybody who's really serious, who does not really invest in coaching, is simply not serious. I mean,
Yep.
it's just, I guess it's an
And,
oxymoron.
and no, but it's so true. And this is a pitch. I mean, we're both coaches and consultants, but this is a real
Yeah.
thing. I mean, no one goes. There is no one that goes to the Olympics. There's no one that goes to the World Championships. There's no high-powered CEOs running multi-million-dollar companies that do not have a coach. If you want to be good at
Hmm.
something, you need a coach. There's a
Hmm.
quote that I use, Eric Schmidt from CEO of Google, that he's like,
Hmm.
everybody needs a coach. Why would you not want a coach? I mean,
Hmm.
you need, because you're just too close to the topic, and you can't see the forest for the trees because you're
Hmm.
so in it. So it's just such a valuable thing. I mean, if I don't think anyone ever in the history of humanity has ever won a gold medal without coaching. I don't think
Hmm.
anyone in the history of humanity has ever won a world championship award of anything without some sort of coach to get them
Hmm.
there. And if that's like a key ingredient for success, and people are listening to this call and they're like, well, I don't know, because, like, I think you're right. I think that you're kidding yourself if you do not have a coach and a support network of people who
Yep.
are there to get you there. And we all, like, you're in coaching programs, I'm in coaching programs, even for fitness, I'm part of a CrossFit gym, because
Hmm.
you need a coach. You cannot get there on your own. It's just so much harder. It's so much harder to try and do it yourself. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Harder and slower if you ever get there.
yeah. So, all right. Well, Dove,
Well,
thank you so much. For those of those
thank you.
listening, yeah, no, thank you. This is wonderful. I really appreciate the value you've given. And again, people listening, go back, listen to this again, pull out those gems, use what you need, get what you can done, and just make sure that you're doing everything you can to take yourself to the next level, because really there are only two stages of life, either growth or decay. Which side are you on? And if you feel that you're stagnating and you're not growing like you should, the best solution to that is an injection of fresh energy, fresh ideas, fresh perspectives, and getting someone to kick you in the butt and keep you moving forward. So, Dov, thank you so much. All the best to you and your wonderful family. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Awesome. Bye. You've reached the end of our interview. Now, first, let me thank you for listening. I appreciate and respect you more than you'll ever know. And now I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First, what 3 lessons did you just learn? What 3 aha moments just jumped out at you? Second, what can you implement for yourself and your business in the next 24 hours? Third, what can you give to someone else to help you with, or give them to just do it for you? Whatever it is, remember taking action is the secret sauce to results. Now, if you think this interview would be helpful for a friend, please give them a link to it. It'll help them and it'll help me too. I'd also like to invite you to help me find out more about the challenges you're facing, your dreams, your goals, and how I can help you overcome what's holding you back. We both do better when we know better, and your success is my success. So please reach out and interact.